I'm going to play a video now that may entertain you and take you away from the negativity, possibly, or the despondency that you may have been feeling a little bit. Here we have the Hanging Bandits song, The Trials of Mick Lynch.
At the start I was so naive. Mick Lynch made me feel at ease, but they'll connect him to the violence of the 80s in the Battle of Orgreave. Richard, you come up with remarkable twaddle sometimes. Jonathan, you should apologize for talking nonsense.
Alex, Laurence and Kelli Watson joining us. Alex for the music and Kelli who made the video. Thank you very much for coming on and waiting so patiently to come on as well. Now, we all loved Mick Lynch on those interviews. I can't believe that you made a song with quoting his responses to those interviews. I mean, what? How did you come up with that idea? It seems like a really novel thing to do.
I mean, I've experimented with it a little bit in the past, just sort of taking some favorite, it's just like a word exercise, taking some favorite authors' work and just juggling their words around to kind of make new poetry out of it. It's quite a fun thing. I mean, it was poetry in itself, but it's art, it's improvisation, isn't it? And his responses back to these journalists as well. And it caught our attention in our house, in the band, and with Kelli, of just being like, this is a poignant week's worth of media that we're just finding hilarious, really, just how embarrassed these guys look from their attempts to make Mick look like some kind of out of control militant union leader. I mean, some of the stuff they were coming out with is just insane. And when you think personally that you haven't heard someone like Mick Lynch on the telly for possibly years,
in our life,
with very sensible, commonsensical views about standing up for working class people, it just seemed mad to not kind of make light of that hilarity, really.
I mean, I did speak to Mick Lynch, luckily on one show, but the bit where the cancer one was the worst one for me. I mean, but the way he batted it off was so calm, wasn't it?
Apparently they have a lot of media training for it as well, which fair play to them for that. But we see, like, we've been talking about it here with these people who investigating the don't pay scheme. The slander that comes just from asking questions about things. It's kind of, in a way, it's almost like a marker of being like, oh, maybe I'm onto something if I'm getting so much like backlash from this. Maybe this is something that actually has a thing that's, we've got to keep saying this message, got to try and get people on board with it. But it's so easy for other people to be like emotionally disturbed by you as a figurehead if you can throw something out into the media and have such a backing to say something like, the militant word, for example, gets so many people's backs up, and they're just lying. They're just using that term to try and scare a certain level of the population, so people won't engage with people like Mick Lynch, thinking he is like extremist or something. Basically, it's just crazy. It's honestly mental.
But I mean, they seem to have stopped inviting him on the TV now, don't they? They're worried that he's going to do it again.
I think you're definitely seeing him on telly less, which is a shame. I mean, like, all hats off to Eddie as well. He did a great job, and all the union leaders at the moment are doing a great job. And it's incredible that they can be invited on for a couple of interviews and then their voice get completely ignored because now we've got this kind of right-wing extreme. Anyone who wants to talk about your work rights is some extreme union member. It's honestly mental.
So what's sorry, Kelli, to comment. It was great your video was fantastic as well. I have to say that the graphics with the Thunderbirds and stuff like that. I mean, it's quite amusing. All that you've managed to make it quite funny. What's quite a sad situation, really.
Well, I think, I mean, it is. Like, I think when you're sat watching, Mick Lynch or Eddie Dempsey on the telly, you're kind of feeling like a mixed emotion between like, kind of like, oh my God, someone is actually in the media saying what I think and giving a really good representation of kind of, the working class, but also I'm a teacher, so I'm in the public sector. I've been, I've had a pay cut a real terms pay cut over the number of years. So I kind of really relate to everything that they're saying. So I've got this kind of relationship, but also it's hilarious to watch him knocking down these TV presenters. So it's kind of like, I think that the sort of purpose of the video was to sort of highlight how sort of the mainstream media create a sense of who's or villainize people who they try to villainize Mick Lynch by making him out to be a communist or a militant, or accusing him of causing cancer patients to die, which are all ludicrous accusations. But you know, that they're the way that I kind of interpreted it into the video was that, you know, the media are subverting who the villains are, where they're really just puppets for the real villains, people who are shareholders, the people who are getting the money from everything. So I kind of like really, the Piers Morgan interview really kind of like capsulated that for me, with the idea of him trying to make out that Mick is the same as the Hood. And you know, like in the Thunderbirds interest me as well, because the Thunderbirds, I don't really remember the Thunderbirds. I don't really know the backstory of everything about it. But the way I can see it is that the Hood is just a guy who's trying to steal government secrets to share them with the rest of the world. And maybe that's not a bad thing. I don't know. Like, what the villain? Who's a villain and who's a hero? Like, you know, I think it's just like, you know, we don't know. Those boundaries are blurred.
Well, he wouldn't have on some multi-billionaire who's taking all the money and look at their social media and say, look at this picture on here, would he? I mean, it's all kind of like he can be as rude and disparaging as he likes to someone who's a union leader. But so how long have you been producing political music and
Oh, I mean, we started back in about 2017, and I think all our music has a tinge of at least social consciousness, I'd like to say. We've got a few other songs like Postcards from the Colonies, which, you know, makes us not want to ignore our colonial history, an unfortunate legacy there, which isn't great, but I think it needs to be talked about. We've been doing stuff that's just very socially conscious and very aware that we're living in this weird stage of capitalism, which can't do anything now but really hurry up and die. So we're kind of trying to look at it from a kind of poetic view, as well as the, you know, the kind of sadness you wake up every day just flicking through the headlines of the news, seeing most of the stuff that's incredibly depressing, and then seeing the one article that's so surreal and depressing that you just have to at least try and laugh at something, no matter how bad it gets. But yeah, we're just trying to see this process hurry itself up a little bit at the point, because there's nothing good coming from this anymore, we feel.
I feel like this is a really good way, whether it's writing music or making videos or any kind of art form, it's a really good way of communicating. So creativity is a really good way of communicating kind of how you're feeling, and how, because some people aren't as good at communicating things in words. You know, it's difficult sometimes to articulate how you feel about these situations. So kind of making something, either whether a poem, a song, you know, whatever, it's a really good way of expressing that. And it's something that everybody can do, and it's kind of something that everybody can do without kind of harming anyone either. Do you know what I mean? It's fun, it's creative.